Hello everyone, I'm Ultraviolent4 and I am about to bring you along for the final week, the final round of the Crawl Sudden Death Challenges Tournament. It's week 7. This week's game is a Ghoul Warper, but before we get into the game, we're going to have a look at the standings and how things currently stand. You'll notice a couple of things. The first is that I'm sort of down the list a little bit. In part, that's because um, the top 4 have all played their games this week, whereas I haven't yet started, so that's a part of it. But another very significant part, if we can find me, is this Spring and Necromancer week. So when you last left off, I was playing an Octopode Monk, which was week 5. Of course, we got 10 for that week. Spring and Necromancer, 4 out of 10. Not so hot. What happened there? Well, let me show you what happened there. Alright, so this week, or last week's challenge was a Spriggan Necromancer. You had to do a bunch of difficult things, although this character was going really nicely. I think from memory the challenges were you had to get a Hell Rune as your first rune before going into other rune branches or something like that. But I didn't make it out of lab because I died to a melee ghost as a Spriggan. Oh boy, it was both a very stupid death. Well, it was totally unavoidable, but so I was stupid for one, but I was also incredibly unlucky. Two things happened. So if you have a look in the top right, I lost all of my HP and I had Guardian Spirit as well. Lost all of that in a single turn. How? Why was I fighting a melee ghost, you might ask? Well, unless I stuffed up like this, it was free experience, a free potion, a bit of free gold. So I was kiting it around with Lightning Spire. You do that, you'll never die. I was probably kiting it around for 3 to 4 minutes and I was very overdoing that. So I thought, oh, I'll just fight it a little bit. I'll stand here like this, I'll get my spy to shoot my Hep ancestor, who you can't see, but it was named Don't Choke. Oh, you can see it there. It was Don't Choke HM, who's Hellmonk. So it was meant to be a reminder to me not to choke, and I was also trying to influence Hellmonk to choke. Choked myself. Anyway, so we started fighting him like this. I forgot, of course, that my rapier swings, because I didn't have any short blade skill, took 1.2 to make. You can see it here in brackets. Anytime you take more than one turn for an attack against a monster, you give it a chance to hit you twice, which I didn't appreciate at all. So, yep, did my slow swing. The ghost got 2 attacks, and even though I had 29 evasion, both connected, just like that, bam, dead. You're a Spriggan, you don't have much HP. Make one stupid mistake like that, you get punished. It's the Crawl Sudden Death Challenges Tournament. Bam, there goes Spriggan. Alright. I got a few to go back through, to get back. Yeah, so that, if I had just got 10 that week, I would have forced Joy to get an Ascetic Rune to win. And I also would have forced Hellmonk, who in this list is Whataburger Patty Melt, to get an Ascetic Rune to tie with me. So at worst I could have been second. But we've had some developments. The first is that Joy here, his 4 this week on Ghoul Warper was also a death. I witnessed this myself, so I've got a screenshot to show you the story of this one. So Joy had to get Ascetic Rune if he wanted to be guaranteed of winning, because Hellmonk would be able to get it and beat him. If he just got his 10 weeks normally this round, he would have definitely beaten me, guaranteed, and he would have been second spot at worst. But he went for Ascetic Rune, he went for the glory, and he got, I guess, punished like me. So a couple of things. He's in Snake at the moment with only 7 AC, which of course is really low. I just realized I haven't even explained what ascetic rune is. Sorry. If you're not aware, getting an ascetic rune is where you don't use a single potion or a single scroll. So his AC is because he's stuck in a cursed ring mail. A cursed +0 ring mail. And because you can't read scrolls, no remove curse. Bad luck. He was trying on GhWr that game too, which to me, if I'm ever going for aesthetic, is extremely risky. If you ever get a -6 protection ring or cursed teleportation or something like that, your run's pretty it's pretty doomed, really. So what happened here? He was fighting an anaconda. He kept using offensive power leaps, which I'm not a big fan of when you're Rue, because it makes you exhausted, so you can't use any of your escape abilities. So he was exhausted from the power leap against the anaconda when a shock serpent turned up. Lightning bolted him a few times. He managed to paralyze the anaconda by a miracle, I think. He used what was it? A paralysis wand a couple of times and didn't get it. And then by luck, his Rue aura just paralyzed it. So he started running away. The anaconda unparalyzed, ran him down and killed him. So he was on 1 HP here, so you can imagine it wasn't going to. He probably wasn't getting out of there unless he started coughing or reading stuff, but I guess he really wanted the win, which means he's now in 3rd place at best. And it's likely that both Hellmonk and I will pass him, so he'll be 4th or 5th, I expect. Hellmonk is Whataburger Patty Melt again. If he does an ascetic rune and he gets his 10 points for this round, he'll win. Even if I get 10, can't do anything about that. Ascetic rune is really hard, so there's probably a good chance he dies, but he's also an extremely good player. So we'll see about that. All I can do is try to get my 10 points for the round, and then if I can do that, at worst I'll be 2nd. If I'm something like a Stephen Bradbury figure, we might still win. Speaking of this week's round, a lot more green. A lot of green in here. Much better than the Octopode rounds and a few of the others that really did a number on people. Ghoul, a bit more of a straightforward race, I'd say. So it's a Ghoul Warper. The tier 1 bonus is to collect the Golden Rune, which is, what's I'm gonna call it? Not Temple, not Crypt, the other one with the mummies. That one, I don't remember what it is. Tomb, that's the one. The Tomb Rune. You also get the tier 2 bonus by collecting at least 5 runes before entering depths. In most normal games there are 6 runes that you can get because you've got your 2 layer rune branches, you've got your 3 standard 3 rune to make 5, so that's Vaults 5, Abyss, and what's that one? I'm really not doing well today. Slime, and then of course you've got Tomb. You might be thinking, but hey, how do you get into Abyss if you don't enter Depths? Well, a few ways. You can do miscast effects, you can get banished, or you can wield and unwield distortion weapons. So it's usually not too difficult to get in there. Usually you can find some sort of spell that you can cast with 100% failure rate and end up in there. And yeah, that's it. So I guess we'll get started. You might be wondering why I've waited this long. So it's a week-long round. We're day 4 or 3 or 4 into it yet so far, and I haven't started playing yet. It's because I have been and still am sick. The last couple of days I actually couldn't even talk at all. I completely lost my voice. So I'm talking now. We'll have to see how we go. Maybe I'll lose it. If I descend into a coughing fit, I'm sorry. I'll try to mute the sound, but maybe we can manage. Oh, please don't show me that screen. Let's play the game. So it's a Ghoul Warper. Ghouls are sort of like a poor man's troll. You have claws, but they're only level 1. Warper, we get to have a blinking scroll identified at the start, which is nice. But the question here is, what do we go for? So your claws, unlike a troll's, are not that exciting. It's +2 slaying, so it's still nice, but whereas a troll has +6, it's much, much more proficient in the early game. And while unarmed combat does end up being extremely potent, because your attacks are really fast and you get extra damage all the way up to 27 unarmed combat, it's usually really weak in the early game, which is also the hardest part of the game. So I'm quite tempted to go a weapon here. That might be a head scratcher for some of you, but I mean, even especially with a short sword, you're likely to be finding lots of branded ones in the early dungeon as well. So I don't know. I still think I will go claws though, but I think most of you, or a good number of you, would probably just slam that F key. Not for respect, F for claws. F for claws. Because you're a ghoul. But it's not that straightforward. Weapons really give you a damage boost in the early game. I'm going to do claws anyway. I really hope I did 0.22. I'm pretty sure I did. That is a training screen like I would have set myself. But that's the default one. Ghoul. We're undead, so we are immune to poison, we're immune to negative energy, which makes this not a bad species to do the Tomb Rune on, because you can't be tormented. We have innate cold resistance. Because we're undead, we can survive without breathing. And then we've got, they're the sort of typical undead things. And then unique to Ghoul, our body rots away, so they don't have a normal hunger system. You can eat, but you'll never starve to death. And what happens is, as you get hungry, your max HP rots. And then when you eat chunks of meat, which you can eat at any time, you can eat rotten ones, you can eat poisonous ones, they're all good. Not only does that heal you, it also unrots you. So it's kind of interesting. And then I've gone over, we have 1 rank of the fingernails mutation. So it's +2 slaying effectively. You can still wear gloves, unlike a troll, but if you do wear gloves, you lose your fingernail bonus. So you sort of have to think, do I want a bit more slaying or do I want a bit more AC? And it sort of depends on how you're going at the time. Our training. Unarmed combat is our offensive ability, so we want to be focusing that. If we look at our aptitudes, that also, I didn't mention it, but it factors into choosing claws. For a ghoul, it's our best aptitude. +1, whereas all the others are -1s. Everything else is pretty bad across the board. +1 in ice and earth. Some random ones there. 0 in necromancy. But everything else mostly -1. Fighting +1 though. I like that. We're going to do that. We're also +1 invocations god. So I didn't mention the gods that we can do this round. We can pick Ru, Quaslar, or Wu Jian. We're almost certainly going to be picking Ru. I think of those 3 for this challenge, that's not a no-brainer, but that's going to be the strongest one. But we'll see. Maybe we'll find a D1 or D2 Wu altar, and I'll rethink everything about my life. But I think it's unlikely we're going Quas. Although not impossible, unlikely. And I think that's probably it for training. Typically when you're doing a Warper, and especially if you're doing a Warper as something like a Ghoul, who just wants to be a melee guy, you mostly just ignore your starting book. It's nice that you have Blink, it's nice that you have Passage of GhWr, but you normally just melee stuff. And I don't know. Yeah, I'd rather just, especially in the early game, just put on heavy armor. Ghouls are really dumb. We start off with 8 intelligence, and we're technically I think we're a battle mage background, but we have some sort of spellcasting in our background. So we'd be getting extra int, and we still only have 8. Not real good at spells. I think that's enough talking. I don't really want to train anything else. Maybe I'll turn armor on when we find some, but at the moment we're still in a leather armor. And I'll just mention, the last thing we've started with are these tomahawks of dispersal. When you throw them at enemies, it can blink them away. but it can also blink them to you. It's just, I don't know. I mean, if you're gonna die, by all means throw them at something, but if you're throwing your Tomahawks to disperse at an enemy as your final hope to try to stay alive, you're probably in a lot of trouble. Alright, let's go. Okay, so ghouls become much stronger. Right. I gotta get rid of all my macros from my sprigging game. Okay, I think we're good. Once you have chunks of flesh, you are much stronger as a ghoul because every one of those you eat, and you can do it in the middle of combat, is like a heal wounds potion, effectively. Oh, and also this ties into 3 from the bottom there. You do not regenerate when monsters are visible. So, yeah, kiting them around. We're not looking for pillars in the early game like we would on most other species, because kiting a monster around on a ghoul will do nothing. Hopefully you just have some flesh with you so you can eat it and heal. And I'm going to set a macro actually on my 1 key for EE. So we can hit that like it's a heal wounds macro. I'm going to put it on F1. There we go. Well, that's a lot of bats. Oh, okay, there's our heavier armor. Here's also a jackal pack. We've got 1 chunk with us, so these guys are fast. Reach level 2, but we've got 1 heal wounds with us at least. Yeah, cool. Let's get this heavier armor. We're gonna go from 3 AC, 11 evasion up to 6 and 9, which is nice. I think we'll start trading armor then. Okay, it'll give us more AC out of this. Yeah, and ghoul is, I tend to do really badly with them. I don't know. Let's have a look at me. 1 ultraviolet 4 ghoul. Sort of an Achilles heel race for me. I've won twice in 71 ghoul games. That's not quite true. I've got some more on this account as well. But you get the idea. I've won 3 times in 8 games on this account. So yeah, Achilles heel race for me for sure. But they're pretty strong, which is why I've just started this level. Just hitting the auto explore button rather than manually walking around. This guy just drank a might potion. Okay, so I said kiting enemies around in our early dungeon is not something you want to do on a ghoul. I take it back. If your enemy quaffs a might potion and you don't want to fight him with it, by all means kite him. Because enemies that have might do 150% damage. Super scary. We've got 2 chunks. Alright, I'm gonna get in this hallway. Alright, we're good. We're just clawing through this stuff like it's butter right now. Yeah. We just picked up a 4th scroll or something. That's and more. We leveled up. As a ghoul, whenever you level up, you get strength naturally. So I think it probably makes sense to go in. We're gonna have a lot of strength as it is, just naturally. It would be nice, especially because we're going to be doing a bunch of runes, to add some spells to our spell set later on. Sort of choosing my stat for the later game here. In the here and now, strength would be better. It would allow us to do more comfortably wear plate armor more quickly, and it would also be bonus damage, but I'm going to go int. So those 4 scrolls we have, to find 4 in the early game is almost certainly identify or remove curse, but we're going to wait until the start of D2 to read it, just in case it is a teleport. So we're not getting, I don't know, it probably doesn't matter too much. This floor is mostly cleared by the look of it. Okay. Another blinking scroll, which is nice. And because we're a Warper, we already know what it is. Okay, pretty straightforward D1. This is a much more forgiving combo than I was expecting for the last week of the Cross Undeath Challengers tournament. I was almost betting all my money on some sort of Tengu. But no, a bit of mercy. It's actually, this is good for Hellmonk. It's actually a really good week for Aesthetic Rune. So, a Ghoul is pretty strong. That's the first thing. The other thing is that being able to choose Rue, you have an ability that you can use to get out of confusion. So, as you might imagine, if you can't quaff potions of curing, you have no way of getting out of confusion. You're like a mummy who's being confused. You're just stuck because you can't quaff potions. But Rues draw out power you can use while you're confused, and it snaps you out of it. So really nice week for Hellmonk. He got, I don't want to say lucky, but certainly leaving Aesthetic Rune till last, he has not been super punished for it. Start of D2, let's read our 5 scrolls. It is Identify, so now I can just run through all our potions. I'm not trying to get aesthetic, I don't care. Note that we can't use lignification potions because we're undead, we can't transmute our forms. Curing. Berserk Rage, again, undead, we can't berserk. This last Identify, rather than just Identify scrolls, I'm just going to hang on to it until we find more potions. We've got one chunk with us. I'm checking just in case. We don't have Remove Curse yet, so I don't want to try this ring. Okay, good. We've got 3 chunks of flesh now. We want to be running around while we've got those, so we've still got heal wounds. Seven chunks. I would eat some if we got rotted, but that hasn't happened. We have a lot of scrolls right now. Oh, I think my auto butcher or the auto eat thing, if I get rotted, it looks like it will just automatically eat chunks for me. That's nice. Let's ID this potion. Heal wounds. Okay, good. I'm very happy that I held on to that Identify. And this one we will similarly hold on to. We got a second potion of something, so that's likely to be Remove Curse. This adder is nowhere near as scary as an adder would typically be for your standard D2 character because we're immune to poison. Much harder to die to an adder when they can't poison you. We're hungry. Okay, so it looks like the auto eat will just eat as long as we get hungry. Okay, we have 2 chunks. I really want the wand, but the Orc Wizard. We have one curing. Okay, so even if it gets us, we can snap out of it. This guy's got a Dagger of Venom. Yep. See, that's where I meant. If we had picked Short Blades in the early game, so I'm gonna steal his Dagger of Venom anyway. I'm gonna put that on B. If we get something that's scary that we can't really fight too much in combat, like an ogre, we can now potentially nick it with venom and then kite it as it dies to damage over time. But if I had picked short blades in the early game, we'd also have some skill with this, so we'd be a much more proficient venom guy, whereas we're stuck with claws at the moment. Here's a chainmail. It's probably better, it's heavier. We're 6 and 9 for AC and evasion, that's 15 total. This is 8 and 6. It's 14 total, but it's more AC. I'll stick with the scale mail for just now, but as we train more armor, it will become the better choice to switch to chainmail. He's slowed us. We'll just go back upstairs. When you're hungry, we don't have any chunks. It's probably better for me just to go back to different stair. It's still here though. Okay, never mind. We'll pick the third stair. I don't really want to fight the Orc Wizard without any chunks, so we can't heal. Better to fight him when we have heal wounds up our sleeve. And not the actual heal wounds. I mean the meat-based heal wounds variety. Alright, he's back. And we've got our flesh this time. Makes it a lot safer. And I head back to the stairs. Okay, good. He wasn't too difficult after all. A bunch of enemies, just random pleb enemies in heavy armors. That kobold has scale mail. The orc we fought before had a chainmail. This is kind of unusual. Boots give us extra AC up to 7. Still have not seen a unique yet. So that's the first point that we can get in a round is from a unique. Although technically it's probably safer if we don't ever meet uniques and we just win our game. We're trying to get 10 points, right? Not 1. But at least if I kill a unique, I can check that the score's updating, so I can know for sure that I'm actually playing on 0.22 and not trunk. Oh, there's a shield. Alright, let's grab that bad boy. Especially for unarmed combat, you definitely want shields because you never have two-handed weapons, so you definitely want a shield. There is, oh man, the number of times this comes up, I want to hit my head on the wall. If you are an unarmed guy, you do get an auxiliary attack sometimes. Just don't worry about it. Pretend the auxiliary attack doesn't exist. Just use a shield. It triggers so rarely until really late in the game. Just go the shield. And even with 0 skill, go the shield. Alright, so what are we going to do here? I'm going to take armor to 4. We probably don't need a lot of it. And then we're going to train shields. Once we get to 4, I might even... No, we probably won't focus it. We're not looking to cast spells anytime soon, so no hurry. We'll just set the skill target for 15 and then we'll sit back and watch it. I think we lost, what, 2 evasion? Let's take it off and look. We lost 3 evasion in exchange for 6 shield. Worth it in my book every time. It's going to mess with our attacks a little bit, but that's also okay in my book because you're more defensible. You're better defended. That's the word. And Orc Priest, we've got 3 chunks of flesh, so I'm not too worried about him. If he smites us, we'll just eat 1. Let's eat 1 now. First one that we're going to eat in combat. I'll eat 2. There you go. We'll heal up. Good. Yep, not too bad. I don't know if you've noticed the pace, but because we're quite a few days into this round, I'm going to try to play it a little bit quicker. Not so quick that I forget to read my scrolls though. So the start of D4 is where I like to read the rest. We might find tempo on this floor. So if we get magic mapping, it's really good. I'll put this enchant armor on my boots. AC is more valuable than shield, and the scale mail, we're likely to replace it relatively soon. Scroll of noise, that's why we're standing on the stairs. Also, if we get teleport, nothing came though. Scroll of fog, fear, immolation. There's the teleport, we're going back upstairs. And then where's our magic mapping? Into a D4 temple, please. There's the magic mapping. Have we got a D4 temple? We've got, I see a couple of altars. 2 altars on this floor. Don't see a D2 temple though. Or D4 temple, okay. So we can check out the altars though. And it's just occurred to me that on D2 we had a hatch up that I never tested. Sorry, that's very out of character. I am sick right now, so you have to forgive me this transgression. Safer to go to the stair that we already know. Because we know that Sigmund, Grinder? No, Grinder can't paint us. Who's a scary unique? I don't know, think of one. We know that whatever that scary unique is with you thought of, it won't be standing adjacent to me as we come back down. And then let's head towards these altars. A book. Swiftness is interesting. I'm going to put it in our spell list. If we're ever going to be using charms, it will be a lot later. But some of these we can hide. Right, excuse me, where's the mute? Not that one. Excuse me, sorry. The beauties of having a dodgy throat. Okay, we're looking at our spell list. Some of these we can hide. We're almost never going to learn Shroud of GhWr. It's good in the early game if you're playing as a quote-unquote Warper, but we're not. Girl's Gravitas is one of the worst spells in the game. Lesser Beckoning, I can't imagine. Teleport Other, can't imagine. Probably if we use anything out of this book, it's going to be Blink and or Passage of GhWr, and nothing else. Actually, you know what? We should learn Blink. I can imagine a situation where we're going to die unless we have a random Blink, and we randomly quaff a Brilliance Potion to bring the failure rate down, and then we roll a 50-50 failure rate and we blink out and I survive, and then, I don't know, cheers go up, there's confetti or something, and it will be amazing. I guess we'll put Passage of GhWr in our spell list for the same reason, and probably when I get another spell level we'll do Swiftness. All these spells could potentially save you, even as someone with no skill in translocations and chainmail eventually. Okay, this all just Zom. We're not going Zom. Will I test the hatch? Yeah. Going back this way. This is where we left off. A worker ant, much like an adder, is much less scary when you're immune to poison. And then the other altar is all the way at the top up there. We have ID scrolls. Yep, so it's Ambrosia. That's nice. I'm just gonna wait for Remove Curse. So yeah, think how many scrolls we had to start D4, how many we've found in this early game. If you were thinking, there's definitely a Remove Curse in this list, I'm gonna try my jewelry on before I read all the scrolls. In this case, you'd be stuck with them. Is a Dith Altar. So no temple yet. None of the gods we want. Phantom. Because they're a blinking guy, a blinking enemy, they're really hard to bring upstairs. Oh, come on. Okay. But once you do, you can either just park them here, you wait for them to blink away and you go back down, or you can fight them. But it's easier if you've taken them upstairs, because then if you're dying or you're sick of fighting them, you just go back down. But we've got some flesh, so we can heal up. And he's basically free experience. Certainly much freer in practice than the ghost experience was in my Spriggan Necromancer. He's an Orc Priest. I'm going to quickly grab that flesh before I run back around the corner. So we've got heal wounds to fight him. And I should go back up. We'll fight him on his own, rather than with the wizard. I'm starting to lose my voice again. This might have to be a bit of a shorter episode. Yeah, and probably also I should tell you now, a bit of a shorter series. So we don't have too much time in the round left, so I'm going to have to pump this one out. Luckily, a Ghoul Warper is a fairly straightforward thing to play, so we can O-tab our way to 5 pre-depth runes, I'm sure. Here's a plate armor. I don't know if this will be the time to wear it. So we've got 8 and 7, which is 15. Oh, let's put our cloak on. That makes it 16. 10 and 7. Chainmail is 12 and 14, which is 16. Plate armor is 14 and 2, 16. Alright, well we're still in scale mail for the moment. Yeah, don't care about jackals. You just O-tab those guys. A Wand of Flame. Not too exciting as far as early game wands go, but it can allow you to take some early shots at an ogre as it closes to you. We don't have any chunks. So what we're going to do here is, I could just claw him because he's one from dying. But what I'm going to do is switch to the dagger of venom. We're going to try to nick him. Yep, good. And then we can kite him out while he dies to poison. Yep, still a very useful tool even if you're not a short blade user. And note for all you low HP species, which is generally everyone on D4 when you're fighting an ogre. Okay, our shield is messing with it, but a dagger is one of the few weapons that even with 0 skill has a 1.0 base delay. So you won't do what my Spriggan did, which you might do, say you're hitting an ogre with a whip of venom, where you take 1.2 for your swing, it would be 1.1 in this case, and then he whacks you twice. Also unlikely for an ogre because they're slow with their giant clubs, but for the sake of this lesson I'm trying to teach you, a dagger is always going to be 1.0 or less, as long as you're not using a shield, and even if you don't have any skill. So pick up your daggers of venom, even if you're not dagger guys, because they're very useful in the early game. There. Alright, lesson complete. That was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Why can't I kill that hound? I don't know. I also don't really want to die to this jelly. We don't heal over time. So I think I want to bring him back up to D4 now before we're critically injured. Okay, so we can fight him. Alright, we just kill him. Alright. But what I would have done there, say we got hit again and we were nearly dead and we're corroded, I would have run him around, probably over here, until we got a 1 tile gap, and I just would have gone back upstairs to heal. It's where random energy really is your friend. We don't really want to fight the sky base when he's invis. We're much better off doing the venom thing to him, like with the ogre. So when he's visible, I'll hit him with poison. He's as sick as possible, so I should stop hitting him with poison. There we go, and kite him. Let's test the hatch. There's our temple. Let's take the howler monkey with us. Rue does not give you piety for killing stuff, so I was going to say, if our god gives us piety for kills, it would be better to just run around searching for the altar we want with the howler monkey while we block it, and then when we convert we'd kill it, like I'm doing now. But yeah, Rue doesn't care. Oh, Wu Jian might. There might not be Wu in here. I mean, its yelling's not attracting anything in the temple, so that's not a worry. There's not going to be... There's Wu. There's Ru. Okay. Bad luck, howler monkey. You had a pretty good run there. You lived for a lot longer than you had any right to. Alright, so we're going to pick up Ru. The sacrificial god. The way that you gain piety on Ru is that occasionally he offers you sets of sacrifices. You can either pick one of those in addition for piety depending on how significant the sacrifice is, or you can reject them, in which case he takes a while to give you another set. Ru's a pretty good god. I think probably I don't like it as much as some players do. I don't know if you ever saw my former set Earth Elementalist of Ru. I ended up dying on it. I've had quite a few bad experiences on Ru where my sacrifices have almost directly killed me. So I don't know. Hopefully this isn't one of those times. So we'll pick Ru. It's a bit of a bummer that Ru isn't an invocations god, because as a ghoul we have +1 invocations, which is pretty nice. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's pretty nice. Yeah, Ru doesn't care about anything except your sacrifices. We have been corroded, so we may as well run away until we at least get our claws back. And we still don't have any remove curse scrolls. Potion of degen, no thank you. I'm starting to get tempted to, when you're starving, that's amazing. You can eat rations just to stop being starving. I think do you actually starve on a ghoul, or are you just near starving? I feel like you never actually starve. But when you're near starving, your HP will be rotted more often. So you see at the moment we're 65 HP when we should be 67. So when we get some chunks, we'll eat those. Is this remove curse? There it is. Alright. The next one of those we find, we'll put on our jewelry. Centaur. Bring him around the corner. I like how we blocked all his arrows there. Shield's pretty good. I haven't converted you all to shields already. I'll do my best this playthrough. I had a comment last playthrough on the Octopode that said, Ultra, do you ever use two-handed weapons? You always go shields. Sometimes I do. Cancellation and agility. No, I'll keep waiting to do potions. Can we get to these guys? I can throw stones at them. I mean, it's a tiny bit of experience here. We want to be perfectly optimal. Kill some goblins on D5 just for a smidgen of XP. It might make all the difference. Can't reach some items. We can't get our stones back. That's okay. On to D6. We're waiting for Rue. He takes time. He just eventually gives them to you. That's a black bear. Okay, we're in 0.22. Not trunk. So if we're in trunk, these guys would go berserk more often, whereas at the moment they only go berserk when they're nearly dead. So we can sort of walk away from this guy, but a black bear at this point that goes berserk, I think would be really, really scary to us. So rather than fight him and make him go berserk, I think I'd rather just walk around. We got a nice little pill here. Oh, we got our gap immediately. And we're just going to drop him off here on D5. If I remember, we can come back and get the bear. But if I don't, he can have a nice, happy, long life up there on D5. Until we meet him on the orb run. And kill him then. Anyway. The Sith Altar. We're looking for more remove curse. I gotta remember. Keep my eyes and ears open. It's a Che altar. I don't know why I'm calling out altars anymore because we got our god. Okay, the Crimson Imp has a wand. Crimson Imps with wands. Perfectly fair and balanced. Thankfully it's not an acid wand at least. We've got 6 chunks of flesh so we can heal through it. That's a Dagger of Elec. Okay, so we got a Dagger of Elec plus a Disintegration wand. One of my scariest crawl experiences of all time. Oh, we just got electrocuted. And he's hasted. Are we just gonna die here? I'm half tempted to polymorph the Orc Wizard. It's a 50% chance, just so he probably drops the Dagger of Elec. Because our other potions are kind of slow. We could quaff agility so he's more likely to miss us. I'm also thinking if I just start eating chunks of meat here, I don't think our healing is not going to out-heal an Orc Wizard. Oh, sorry, a Dagger of Elec. Especially if, because it's hasted, he's hitting us twice. I'm going to, go for the polymorphs. This is sketchy. We're electrocuted again. Okay, we're on 22. With 21 HP. Alright, at this point, I think we actually quaffed the real heal wounds. Okay. Polymorph again. Come on. We were electrocuted. I think we're actually just dying here. Oh boy. Randomly dying to just some pleb orc wizard with an electrocution dagger. This is sort of because of the Crimson Imp. Okay, so do I make another 50% roll with polymorph? And there's no guarantee that will actually improve our situation. So what I'm hoping for there is that it becomes an enemy who can't carry weapons, so we'll just drop it. But if you're unlucky, it will become an enemy that can still use weapons. Although in that case, at least it probably wouldn't be fast, so we'd be able to just walk away from it. Whereas the Orc Wizard is hasted. You know what I should have done? Why didn't I just read Teleport ages ago? And you know what? Oh man, I'm so dumb. This is what happens when you don't slow down and take your time to have a look at your items that you have and you don't think about it. You think you're going to die when really you're holding scrolls of blinking. Alright, let this be a lesson to you. When you have sketchy situations like this, you slow down, you think about what options you have, and you just take it slow. There's no reason to rush. Crawl's a turn-based game. I want to say that I did this on purpose to teach you this valuable lesson. You thought I was going to die, but all along I knew that I wasn't. So we have scrolls of blinking. So we just blink away. We just go back upstairs, and then we don't die to the dagger of electrocution. Fancy that. And you know what? I think that's going to be it for this episode. So my throat's struggling a little bit. Yeah. Except for that last experience, I'd say that this game was going pretty smoothly so far. So that's our heal wounds potion down. Probably, the heal wounds is probably less valuable than a scroll of blinking. So in that sense, it wasn't horrible that I quaffed that rather than blinking straight away. But we ended up having to heal wounds and blinking. So it's a bit of a bummer. But we're still alive, so that's good. And then, I don't know, we'll go fight that guy to begin the next one maybe. Or I'll head to a new stair. Probably better to head to a new stair. We'll see if we can grab the disintegration of the imp. Look at these chunks we had that I'm just going to eat now. Tastes great. Just so I remember and I don't come back next episode and go, oh yeah, okay, we're on D6, go downstairs, oh wait, elect guy, I'll X that stair out, and I'll see you all for the next one. Hopefully we'll get some rune sacrifices by then.